Hey, my name's Fernie Rivera, and I'm the founder of Here and Now Coaching. I'm so glad you're joining me this week as we unpack evangelism. Now, at one point or another, you have probably been encouraged to share your faith with others. And my guess is that many of you hear the invitation and then you forget all about it. And I don't blame you. The idea of sharing our faith with others, even if we know them well, can be daunting. So, for the next 3 weeks, the box that we will be unpacking is the box of evangelism. And we will do so by diving into the story of the woman at the well. So, you ready? Let's go. I was recently hanging out with my brother-in-law, and I mentioned to him that I was looking for a new book to read. He immediately started telling me about a book that a friend of his recommended to him. And he admitted that at first he was skeptical, but then once he started reading it, he couldn't put it down. He very excitedly started telling me about how the book has dragons and war and mystical creatures and so much more. And then he said, "You have to read it. Here, take my copy." Now, I didn't take his copy because I love having my own books. As you can tell by the bookshelves behind me, I love having my own books. So what I did instead was drove straight to the bookstore afterwards and bought my own copy and began reading it. And look, I'm only about halfway done with the book, but this weekend I ran into a college friend of mine and we were talking and we started talking about books, and I told him, "You have to read this book. I'm only halfway done with it, but it's so good." And he told me that once he went home, he went and bought his own copy of the book and he started reading it. And I'm convinced that it's only a matter of time before he starts telling other people to buy the book and read it for themselves. Now, imagine if my brother-in-law had not read the book and instead it was being used as a coaster for his coffee cup. Imagine the book was dusty and he couldn't tell me anything about the book other than the fact that it's supposed to be a good book. Do you think I would have been as excited to go and buy it and read it for myself? Do you think I would have told my college friend to go and read it? Do you think I'd be telling people about it? Absolutely not, right? See, the reason I was so quick to read it for myself was because my brother-in-law took the time to read it first, to understand the story for himself, and his excitement and his enthusiasm inspired me to do the same. Now, before trying to convince me to read the book, he had to read it himself so that he could share his own thoughts and experiences with the book. Now, I think the only reason, maybe not the only reason, I think the biggest reason so many of us struggle with evangelism, with sharing our faith, is because we haven't taken the time to experience it for ourselves, to experience the life that we are inviting others to experience. See, we tell people about forgiveness, but we ourselves haven't accepted God's forgiveness in our lives. We tell people about a hopeful future, but we ourselves have no idea what that future can look like. We tell people about new birth, but we ourselves have not experienced it for ourselves. We tell people that God loves us beyond our wildest imagination, but we haven't taken the time to really experience God's unending love for ourselves. We tell people of a life we don't really know, and it's in that breakdown that evangelism begins to fall apart. So how can we change that? The story of the Samaritan woman in the Gospel of John can teach us so much about the way of evangelism. Now, if you haven't read it or aren't aware of this story, I'm going to include a link in the description so that you can go and read the full story. But in particular, I want to focus on 2 verses today, verses 28 and 29, and they say this: "Then the woman left her water jar and went back to the city. She said to the people, 'Come and see a man who told me everything I have ever done. He cannot be the Messiah, can he?'" Now, a couple of years ago, I was reading through this story and a huge light bulb went off in my head. See, she doesn't say, "Hey, I think I found the Messiah. Should we go check?" Right? She doesn't say, "Hey, I hear that the Messiah can change lives and I'm not really sure if I believe that or not. So maybe we should go, or you should go and tell me if it's true." Right? Instead, she says something extremely powerful that I think is the foundation of evangelism. She says, "Come and see the man who told me everything I have ever done." See, she had an experience with Jesus, and now she's taking that experience and sharing it with others so that they can experience the same. That is the foundation of the way of evangelism. Get to know Jesus for yourself. Experience firsthand God's love and God's grace and forgiveness and hope and mercy and peace. And then, Once you have experienced it for yourself, use that experience to encourage others to experience the same. See, we cannot inspire people to experience the life that God is offering if we haven't experienced that life for ourselves first. Look, if sharing your faith is a core piece of who you are, who you want to be, but you're having a hard time identifying the ways that you have experienced God in your own life, I want to invite you to reach out to me at coachingforhereandnow@gmail.com or visit my website at www.hereandnowcoaching.org. I would love to help you identify that experience for yourself so that you may help others do the same.
I go.